Welcome back, everyone. Well, we'll talk everything crystal ball here, and what we can expect as we get into Sunday afternoon. That's when we expect some of the weather to take a turn for the worse. 24-hour forecast is looking pretty good. We're hot and humid going into tomorrow. The inclement weather starts to arrive at the end of the weekend. Let's start with a look at the enhanced satellite picture. This is a look at that tropical storm as it pushes now off the Mexican coast and back out into the Gulf of Mexico. It was showing some signs of intensification. It's winding down. Now, here's we get a little bit later on into the day, and that's pretty typical for the life cycle of some of these storms. But it is expected to intensify as we go over the next 24 to 48 hours. Now that it's getting out away from the influence of land out into a fairly warm Gulf of Mexico, it will have a chance to build back up into a moderate to strong tropical storm. A thing of note, though, in just taking a look at the structure of this storm, notice how everything is built to the east of this system. So while the center sits way over here, and while where the center ends up is very important, all of the activity, the major impacts, can actually sit out just towards the east. So here's what the track looks like. This is the latest one coming in at 4 o'clock. We'll get intermediate advisory coming up at 7, which will adjust wind speed, things like that. Next track probably coming out about 10 o'clock tonight. Here's where the track comes through, out over through the southeast. That's good news for Acadiana. It's east of the basin. This is going to push some of the worst weather out over towards New Orleans and even on into Mississippi. Notice that Biloxi area getting out over towards Orange Beach. They're not in that cone of uncertainty, but they're still probably going to feel some of those impacts, maybe even some of the worst impacts out over towards Mississippi. Also, notice how the cone has shrunk over the last couple of days. It used to stretch from Galveston all the way beyond New Orleans. We're starting to focus in now on where this is going to go. It will start to turn northwards, and when it gets to about here, you may actually see it pull some moisture into our area. We may even see some heavy showers continue on Tuesday. We may actually get our heaviest rainfall arriving after this storm makes its way through. Depends exactly on what it's looking like as it does make landfall, and that could actually add to some coastal flooding later on in this forecast period. So I think as we get into Monday night, Tuesday, that's when we may actually see some of the worst coastal flooding, as we'll have strong winds coming in from the south. And I'll show you the Euro model, which kind of hints at that a little bit here in just a sec. What's going to keep this thing from rapidly intensifying, though, is a solid amount of dry air and wind shear that's sitting out in the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to struggle to battle against this dry air, which is also going to keep everything out over towards the east. There's a lot of moisture in the eastern Gulf, and that's where you're going to see the worst rainfall and the worst impacts from this thing sitting out over towards the east. So here we go. This is the European model. This is the one that resembles very closely to what the National Hurricane Center is doing. You can see some of the heavier showers. This is Sunday early morning. You probably got some bands sweeping through Acadiana, the kind where it rains real heavy just for a couple minutes, and then that band moves on. That's what we'll be dealing with early Sunday morning. As we roll through into later parts of the afternoon, by about 4, you're talking landfall. Look how heavy some of these showers are here, particularly as you look out over towards the Biloxi area. I think that's where you're probably going to see the worst rainfall. They may be picking up close to a foot, if not more, of that rain. We'll take a look at the rain totals here in a bit. This goes on into Monday morning. Things probably going to be getting pretty intense here in Lafayette. That's when we're going to be seeing some of the strongest showers, strongest winds rolling through. Decent downpours still expected. So while I say the worst impacts are to the east, that doesn't mean that we're impact free. You're going to see the heavy rainfall continue on into early Monday morning. This thing lifts out of here, and then as you get into Tuesday, notice how those winds start to increase from the south. That could send more moisture our way, and that could push those tides up just a little bit higher. When it comes to rain totals, here's what we're looking at. Look out over towards Biloxi. You're talking about almost a foot worth of rain. You could easily double any of these numbers as well when it comes to tropical systems. For us, we're probably on the hook for about 2 to 6 inches on average, kind of area wide, and again, may double it. So very isolated areas that are getting closer to maybe about 8 to 10 inches. So localized flooding, I think, going to be the bigger issue. I don't think it's going to be a big widespread event. Again, that's track dependent. This track shifts westwards a little bit, then we may be talking a different story. But right now, there's pretty good confidence in the track. This is your earliest likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds for us, probably as we get into Sunday morning down along the coastline, and then Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening in Lafayette and northern parts of Acadiana. Tonight, we're quiet. 72 degrees for your overnight low. Nearly calm conditions. Mostly clear skies for tomorrow. Mostly sunny, 91 degrees. Fresh breeze through tomorrow, though. That'll be the first little signs that tropical weather is brewing. You've got winds from the northeast at 10 to 15 miles an hour. gusts up to about 20-25. I think as we get into Sunday afternoon, we're probably looking at winds that are going to be 25-30 sustained, gusting at times 40 to 50. Heavier winds down over towards New Orleans and the Louisiana-Mississippi border should start to clear up as we get towards the end of Tuesday and into the middle of next week. Well, there's your look at weather. We'll be right back right after this.